Peace and love, family tree. Peace and love. Let me know, family, are you actually up in the building with me right about now? About to have a good time, okay? So we want to do a debate show tonight. I know we're doing it, without no notice. Normally, I usually give you guys some quick notice, but we've got a few minutes to an hour tops to spend, okay? So if you guys are definitely involved and want to be involved, please make sure you jump onto the panel. The link has been dished out inside of the comment section, and of course I will add it to the description box later on, okay? So if you're watching the show and you arrive late and you want to get involved with the discussions with the people inside of the Google Hangouts with us on the show, of course I shall add it to the description box and you will see it, okay? But for now, just check it out on the comment section. So family, I want to know, where are all my Titans TV supporters? Where you at? Where you at? Yeah, buddy. Hit up the like button straight away so I know that you're with me. And let's get some interaction going on. So just drop a little comments or whatever else you do inside of the comment section and let me know that you're with me right now. So I'm going to invite you guys to come on. We want to get a quick show in. I know it's 9 o'clock. It's good timing. It's real good timing. So there's a lot of things been going on. A lot of things been going on. What's good? Johnny Deformed up in the building. So today, actually, I was going through my subscription list. Okay, going through my subscription list. So I had a nice little purview throughout it. There was, let me just check something. Shouts out to shouts out to man like Gano Grills getting it in right now. Okay, then let's see, what do we have here? Anything exciting popping off? Anything that I've watched that was quite good? Oh, Bob the Builder. No, Bob the Builder was going in. I'm upset I didn't get to actually finish watching that. So please, if you guys are watching this, right, and you want to see an awesome, he actually gave a lecture, to be honest with you. And then, the Ahmed Ali wanted to get involved. And Bob was just doing his thing. Like, Bob has got to be one of my best at Speaker's Corner. So Bob and So-Called Films for holding it down. Please go hit the subscribe button right there, for So-Called Films, because they really get it on. Let's see. Anything else? I watched a little bit of Monday Night with Mufti. But that was about it. I don't think anything really was popping off inside of my thing today, okay? I know we have Christian Prince is going in right now. Like, Christian Prince is always phenomenal, to be honest with you. So let me quickly come back in with you guys. And to be honest with you, I was getting high of my own supply. And what I mean by that is, I actually was watching one of my response videos that I did for Ahmed Ali, and it's called Kalam, I apologize to know Ahmed Ali response, Shahada talks. Hey, listen, that was a fire video, fire. I don't even know, I haven't even hit the like button. Let me hit the like button on that. Yeah. Ooh, that video was powerful. This was done on the 22nd of February 2018. I just had to rewatch it again, and I was like, Cal, that's when you was on fire, baby. That's when you was really dropping some knowledge and going hard body with some fire, some absolute fire. So if you haven't had a chance right now, please go and watch this. It's only like 22 minutes long. 22 minutes long. That's like one of the quickest Titans TV shows, and is jam-packed with information. Okay, absolutely jam-packed with information. Look at him. Look at him with his little cute self over there. Look at him. He's going through all of this, all for your learning pleasure. So please go out, check that video. It's absolutely fire. Trust me on that. So whilst we're waiting for everybody to join in, as per usual, let me make sure I drop you guys the link, right? Let me drop you guys the link. Okay. Drop you guys the link. All right. So Tony Sutton says, Callum, do you know if Dr. Umar Johnson is touching down in London? I know he was in Birmingham on the 27th. Yeah, he is in London. I'm pretty sure it's the 7th of November. Or that is another event. Somewhere in November, I believe he's actually doing something. All right. If you want to find out more information for that, you have to go to Instagram and go to Serious Tickets. Okay. Let's see if I can quickly do that. Serious Let's see. Serious tickets. Do we have it here? Do we have it here? Do we have it here? Dr. Umar Johnson, the 3rd. There we go. The 3rd of November at the Lighthouse. Okay. So if you want to check out Dr. Umar Johnson and Mutabaruka, okay, please go and check it out. Of course, they were at Birmingham on the 27th at the Bingley Hall, but they're going to be at London on the Saturday, 23rd of November, 2018, 6 p.m. to 1 a.m. Be there sharp at the Lighthouse. This is in Camberwell. SE555. Be there or be square. Tickets in advance are £30, but rest assured it will definitely be more on the door. And you can go and check out your regular, what's the word again? Distributors. No, what's the word? Suspenders? What's the word? I don't even know. But your regular people, you can go right here and make sure you can make your purchases right there. Go, buy, purchase. Yeah. So that's gonna be fire. That's gonna be fire. So go there, check it out if you want. Let's quickly see what else you guys are actually saying. Christian Live, anyone from here want to defend their Muhammad prophet called CP? Sky Debate TV. Indeed, definitely call him. Kalam, do you know if, okay, so I've read those ones out. Remember, if you want to get my attention, all you have to do is simply type Titans TV. Umar should have met up with Seti at Speaker's Corner to officially challenge each other to an MMA fight. What's good? Apostate prophet up in the building. Oh, man. All right. So we have got Teja Singh up in here with us. What's good? Teja Singh.
What's good, family?
What's good? How you doing? How you doing? Okay, never mind. So, family thing. We want to get some good debates flowing today, okay? And I think I want to get involved with some debates. Can I get involved with a debate? Okay. And just to be fair, I would like to take the opposing view. So I want to take the view that I wouldn't normally take. So let me try to argue the points that I wouldn't normally argue for. Can I do that today? I want to stretch myself a little bit. So let's do this, okay? What's good, Banksy? Please feel free to join, G. Please feel free to join. I need you up in here. Who else? Nikki Dudley says, what kind of... Pest Control says, one day, can you do a career advice show? Lol, see which career makes money and how we can start side hustles. I like that, Pest Control. Pest Control, I beg you, just email me. I'm pleading for you just to email me so you can really keep me like on the board, okay? Or on the ball, okay? Is Scattered Minds doing a show tomorrow? I believe it's on Thursdays. Thursdays we usually have a Scattered Minds show, but you have to holler at him so he can holler at me to let me know in advance what type of show he's going to do so I can advertise it. Okay, so have you heard of the hadiths of Muhammad having husbands? No, I haven't actually, to be honest with you. No, that's a crazy one. You're going to have to show me that one. Okay, so Sniper says, what is Thai's problem with Kemet or any other African belief? Okay, a lot of religious people, if something threatens their own religion, it is as though you're threatening their identity and who they are intrinsically as a person. So that's what might be coming about with Uncle Thai. Unfortunately, we have been laying it on heavy, talking about, Kemet is the father of these religions. And people don't quite like that. They want their own religion or their own identity or their own culture to be at the forefront or to be at the head. And
can I just ask?
Sorry, let me just.
Is Kemet the originator of Sikhism?
Not that I'm aware of, to be honest with you.
All right, okay.
Not that I'm aware of. I thought that Sikhism is kind of like a fusion between Islam or Sufi Islam, and possibly Hinduism. That's what I thought. But you could possibly.
No, I've heard that as well in the past. Yeah, you're right.
So I would say from the Abrahamic side of Sikhism, then you can say there is some connection, because of course there is a connection with Islam. So therefore, if Sikhism has a connection with Islam, there is definitely a connection with Kemeticism. But other than that, no, Sikhism, I believe, was constructed and created out of the mind of, an Asian person. Let's quickly go through. All right. Okay, so we've done that. Let me quickly get through all of this. Times TV, are you the biggest Islamophobe? 8K, oh, sorry, 8K Titans. Okay, 8K says that. Now, it's very funny. The moment that you open up criticism and dialogue about Islam in particular, you're immediately labeled an Islamophobe. Wow, an Islamophobe. No, unfortunately not. I don't have any irrational fears about Islam. Okay, I know Islam. I don't need to be scared of it. I don't need to have a fear of it. I just know the beast that I'm dealing with. All right, let me quickly go through some of these stuffs. Man, like Sarah Garvey, like, why are you not jumping on? Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to keep quiet. That's what I'm going to do. Let me just mute my mic out for 30 seconds and see if anybody will choose to jump on. All right. So that awkward silence is going to just force and compel somebody to jump on. I'm going to do it in 3, 2, 1, now. Oh man, glad to see Banksy couldn't take the awkward silence anymore. I love that. Okay, let me quickly go through a few more of these comments.
So what's good, family? I don't want to steal your lines, man.
Well, down to you in a hot minute. Let's quickly see. Do Nuwaubians accept evolution? And what is Kemetic philosophy? Also in opposition to that. Now, that's a very good question. Nuwaubians. I've spoken to various different Nuwaubians. Some accept it and some don't. So I guess it's what type of Nuwaubian you're speaking to. Let's see. And what is Kemetic philosophy? Also in opposition to that. I'll pass on that question. I'll pass. I'll pass.
Did it say kinetic philosophy?
Kemetic.
Phonetic.
Kemetic. Kemetic.
Oh, Kemetic. Ooh, do not know that one. Need more Googling.
Okay. Why does no one speak of the Necronomicon? Testimony of a mad Arab. Wow, never heard of that before. Necronomicon. Don't know. All right. Let's quickly go through before I read out my king right there. Let me just quickly see. All right. Okay. Peace and blessings, brother Kalam, and all in the chat. Let me shout out to John McDermott. John McDermott's always supporting, Like, I'm sure, like, there's never been a show that's popped up that John McDermott hasn't supported. I beg of you guys, salute John McDermott, yeah? Love, peace, and blessings, brother Kalam, and all in the chat. Yeah, buddy. All right. Let's quickly see. Okay, we got Ad A says Google knowledge reminds me of when I was 13. Oh man. All right. Good. Listen, so Films is up in the building as well. All right, let's quickly jump on and see. What are you saying, Banksy?
So I know. I mean, the Necronomicon is the Book of the Dead, I believe. It's some people associated to Egypt. There's also obviously the movie that featured the Necronomicon, Evil Dead. It's it's something to do with basically bringing either bringing back the dead or utilizing the power of the other side. That sort of scenario, but. There's, I say it comes from Egypt. It's definitely Egyptian, but there's other things there too.
Okay, I know about the ancient Egyptian Book of the Dead, but I've never heard of the term Necronomicon before. All right, let's quickly. Okay, Times TV. Banksy can't walk in the ends no more. I don't like love. Is he aware of that? We'll get on to that in a little while. That's going to be nice and controversial in a hot minute. All right, Afroman Raf says, types of Nuwaubians? What are the other types? And I want you to confront that question. All right, so there is, okay. What are the types of Nuwaubians? Okay, so there are quite a lot of different types of Nuwaubians, depending upon what era they joined Nuwaubianism, okay, or Nuwaubianism, which is quite all right. So some people, some Nuwaubians will call themselves Nuwaubians with a P. Some Nuwaubians will call themselves Nuwaubians with a B, right? And some Nuwaubians are American Nuwaubians, some are UK Nuwaubians, right? There's loads of Nuwaubians all around the world, but depending on where they are, they have a very different and distinct expression of their Nuwaubianism, right? Some Nuwaubians jumped out of what you call Nuwaubu in various different years, in the 90s, in the early 2000s, in 2010s, 2017, 18s, and so forth, right? And depending on where they left, right, because their school is constantly evolving. You know, you can be talking about Egyptology one moment, then it's spaceships and aliens and I don't know, Gherkin Boy, or like, you know, or I don't even know, the Manhattan Project. There's so many different things that's just circulating around. Okay, so one minute they're looking like Egyptians, next minute they're looking like Sumerians and so forth. So depending on where they left off in their how can I put it, their maturation within sort of the Nuwaubian school, you will encounter wide personalities and wide arrays of thinking. Okay, so just to keep it simple, let's quickly go through. There's somebody who's dropping that big squalor. Make sure I haven't missed out anybody. Yeah. Okay. Oh man, TNT has Greeks up in the building. Says big up brother Kalam. Says boxer puncher. Oh man, what's good, family tree? Let's get it. Remember, I'm inviting you guys to come in. Kalam, what does Bilal mean in Arabic? Squat diddly do? No, I'm joking. I don't know. I don't even think that Bilal is actually an Arabic word. So I don't know. Okay, let's quickly go through and see. Banksy, do you want to say anything?
Well, nothing on what you were just saying. It's just that it seems that these big men of Speaker's Corner are so strong and powerful that they lose a debate and they want to shank the man. seems rather contradictory to the strength that they try to portray.
Oh, man. Let's do this then, okay? So most of us, I think we are aware, or if we're not aware, could you please let us know? There seems to be, I didn't watch all of it, mind you, and I was half watching. So could you tell us what happened at Speaker's Corner, even though we had the witness giving us like a stellar report, but could you give us you know, your account of what transpired at Speaker's Corner between you and Respect?
Yeah, or as I call him now, Little Red Victimhood. He seems to relish in his victimhoodness, even though he seems to constantly espouse that I'm not a victim. But basically, how it all went down was it actually all started with the fact that he continuously disrespected Sophia. He just continuously insisted that her name is Simon and this and that. And I thought, okay, Sophia, I don't need to white knight for Sophia, by the way. I just want to put it out there. Sophia can handle herself. She's strong of character to be able to do that. I just wanted to test Raspek's mettle. I wanted to see how, if this man is truly the Raspek that everyone, hears about. So I thought I'd throw a few jabs in there, a few little niggly, little trolling jabs. And I'll be honest, I have to say, Raspek came up wanting, and he came up wanting bad. So basically, it all built up. It built up through a few streams like this, where I threw a couple of little trolling jabs at him, and then he wanted to confront the man because he thought I'm going to cower before his little dreadlocks or something. And I don't think he expected what he got. So that's really it. It was his way of intimidation and bully tactics, which it appears to be their MO at Speaker's Corner. But unfortunately, I don't think he expected me to. He thought I'm gonna be like Raj. I don't know. Maybe Raj crumbles like a snowflake, but I've had many bigger men than him look me in the eye and try to intimidate me and stare me down. In fact, I think Raspik was on his toes trying to look me in the eye. So it's just, I can't look at that face and feel fear. I'm sorry. I'm sorry for you guys. I just can't. That's why I just kept laughing. That is not a face of fear. I'll promise you that. That is, especially with that little bit of hair on his upper lip, that does not help his case. I just want you guys who are his friends, tell him shave that. I've got more hair in the crack of my ass than that man has on his upper lip. And that is not, that doesn't instill fear in anyone. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Oh man, hey, there's some shots that's been said. Hey, to Raspek. Hey, where's Raspek at? That would be a fire show still. Hey, we need to talk to here. Cause I could tell this is gonna be real hot still. Sugar. Hey, yo, you got bars. Come like Muhammad Ali, B. All right. Let me quickly see this. I need to jump back into this again. Yeah, just give me a hot second. Ooh, wait. All right. So we've got a question here from Sniper. Sniper says, did Christianity originate in the landmass we call Africa? Dun, dun, dun. That is quite a difficult question. It is a very difficult question. And I'll tell you why it is a difficult question. The difficulty lies in what were we going to classify as Christianity and what are we going to classify as what we're going to classify as Christianity and what we're going to classify as originate. Okay, so of course Jesus was a Jewish man or a Judean man or an Israelite man, whatever the case is, and of course Judea is outside of the landmass of what we call Africa today. Correct? Okay. So now we have to establish at what point did Christianity actually originate? Okay. At what point did Christianity originate? And one can actually argue to say, well, Jesus went to Egypt, spent some time over there, and when he came back, although there is an intermediate, there is this period before he goes to Jerusalem, though. One can also argue that point. But, in him going to Jerusalem, he now meets the Pharisees and the Sadducees, and he has, profound debates with them and so forth. So he must have clearly had some type of knowledge, some type of wisdom in order for him to go up against the Pharisees. And his doctrine must have been quite distinct or different from the Pharisees' knowledge base. So one could argue and say, yeah, he was educated in Egypt, and then, so therefore his learning or his wisdom or his education, prepared him on his ministry. And then he came into Jerusalem and, he started teaching something that was different to normal Judaism. One could have that argument. Or one could simply say that, nope, Jesus, his doctrine and teachings started in Jerusalem when he was at the age of 30 or 33 years of age. And nope, it was got nothing to do with Egypt. It's got nothing to do with Africa, full stop. One could put forward that argument. So it depends on how you want to look at it. But there is all these other counter arguments that one could say, but I wouldn't even press it too much, to be honest with you. I just say that Jesus was a Judean teaching a Judean doctrine mixed in with something that's similar to Kemetic doctrine. Can we address that the term black? Can we address that the term black or red? I don't know what that means. This has been done to death even as close as a couple of days ago. Indeed, I thought, Callum, you should start a podcast. People would listen. Amen. Okay, let's see. Colin says, can clarify that the term black referring to Africans does not begin in slavery. The literal term black, as we're using in the English language, the word itself doesn't originate with slavery. The term that was applied to other people did originate during slavery and colonization. As a term, remember, a term is different than a word. But yeah, as a term, it did. You're gonna say, but no, but there is other communities that call themselves black. Just look in Africa. There is the Sudanese. That word means black. Yeah, no, it means black, right? But we're not talking about that, right? We're talking about the actual word black and how it was applied towards a certain group of Africans that originated during slavery and colonization as a term for identity. All right. So, anyways, let me open it up, man. Okay. All right. Let me get this last question in. Last question, because you lot are just killing me with the questions, man. Let's go. Titan TV says, in fact, did you watch the Sign to recent video with Divine Prospect breaking down Nuwaubian ideology? No, unfortunately, I didn't. Nosun's up in the building. I watched a video, half of a part one video of Prince York and Jabari, and Prince York said that they take their history beyond Kemet to northern Sudan, calling it Nubia. This was before the last post. Listen, Prince York, yeah, a lot. Okay, let me speak nicely. A lot of these people are ill-informed. Yes, ill-informed. Ill-informed. Kemet is older than ancient Egypt. Okay, cool. Anyways, let me go back to the panel now. Okay, so we've got Witness up in here. We've got Banksy up in here. Talk to us, family. Talk to us.
Hi, Callum. I wanted to ask you a question. Something I wanted to talk about, but I don't know if people are interested in it. Been doing some research and discovered that there are a number of forms of slavery that still exist in West Africa. One of them is called trokosi, and it's prevalent in Ghana, Togo, and Benin. And it is a practice in which young girls, young women, are sold, given away in slavery to fetish priests. And they're basically there till the day they die. They're supposed to be virgins, but of course, the priests sexually abuse them and physically abuse them. And this has been going on for more than 100 years. And I just find it fascinating that it's one of these forms of slavery in which Black people are still being enslaved in West Africa, but it's not really spoken of or discussed. Are you aware of this form of slavery called trokosi, Trokosi? Have you heard of it before?
That name I'm not too sure or aware of. I'm aware of fetish priests that do have these young girls with them, and some of them even traffic in bodies or body parts as well. Albino children and their bodies and things of that nature. But slavery, I've never heard it being mentioned as slavery, but one could most probably call it that, I guess.
No, trokosi is slavery. There are many women who've managed to escape from it. They've managed to do documentaries detailing what they experienced from childhood. Some of them are now young women in their 20s. And I was just disgusted to find out that it's still going on in Togo, Benin, and Ghana. And there are a number of documentaries, mostly on YouTube, which these survivors detail exactly how they ended up from different parts of West Africa into, Togo, Benin, or Ghana.
Could you give me the name? Can you spell it for me, please?
Trokosi. Trokosi.
Okay. All right. Ritual servitude. Okay, cool.
And there's some brilliant videos that should come up where the survivors talk about their experiences where they were sold by their relatives or they were just taken. Basically, if you do something to slight these priests, they tell the people that you need to give them your daughter or give them a woman or else the gods will punish you. So the relatives will give their daughters, and these kids are given as virgins and they stay there basically till the day they die or till they escape, and they're sexually abused and physically abused. The Ghanaian government doesn't want to use force to stop the practice. It tries to persuade them to stop, but it doesn't work. The practice still continues and flourishes in those 3 countries.
I'm going to have to say good thanks to you. We're actually going to do a show on this. Let's arrange a show, a date for this show, because we need to speak out about this, because I'm pretty sure we've got a lot of, people that tuned into this show right now that are coming from the West African region, coming from Ghana, and I'm sure, all these different regions. So if we can actually shed some light on this and see if we can bring some awareness to this is like, wow, I never knew about this. So
yeah, I didn't want to bombard people with too many other forms of slavery in that part of the world. So I just thought mention this one first because it's still going on, and there are a lot of victims who are still being used as sex slaves by the priests.
Is it possible for you to actually email me as well? Okay.
Sure. Sure. What is your address?
Kalam, Kalam at live.co.uk.
Kalam at live.co.uk. Okay.
And me and you, I want us to just kind of arrange a show on this and bring some attention to this.
Sure. All right.
Callum, hi.
Perfect. Hi, Jarina, is that you?
Yeah, that's me. What's up?
Oh man, what's good?
Can I just say something? Why are you so obsessed with Kemet?
Why am I so obsessed with Kemet?
Yeah.
In what sense?
You talk about Kemet a lot.
Really? Okay.
Because me, as an East African, Kemet and all that Egyptian stuff that they used to do is voodoo, straight voodoo. They left their voodoo trace on the continent. If you go to Sudan, there's black magic, which is from the ancient Egyptians. If you go to Rwanda, they still have that trace of Kemetic voodoo, and it's not good. It's black magic, and it's very backwards, and Africans are becoming more modern and, just ignoring that rubbish basically. But it's not something, for people who live in the West and that are educated to go into, because it's dark and it's horrible. That's my personal opinion. It's not the right way. It's idolatry. And, we have people, for example, my country has been run by devil worshippers for the past 26 years. And they encourage this kind of voodoo on our country, like this, worshipping of trees, and it's very much Kemetic, and they welcomed it, and because it goes against religion, it goes against, it goes against like Christianity. So it's a bad, backward, horrible thing that used to happen thanks to the Egyptians, and yeah, so it's not something
Why is it bad though? What are they doing that's bad?
Well, it's not the right way. It's not.
Why isn't it the right way?
Abrahamic religions. It's just voodoo.
So it's not the right way for you.
Egyptians
It's not that it's not the right way.
The afterlife. They were into the spirits. That was their thing. Obviously, they were very intelligent. They were into stars and all that.
What's wrong with that?
What's wrong with that?
Yeah.
It's evil. It's not. It's not the right way.
Why isn't the right way?
The right religion to follow.
Who said? To who? According to
God.
who?
God said it, Banksy.
No, okay. So according to your God, according to your God, not your God, your Christian God.
What do you believe in, Banksy? I see that you're Persian. You obviously are a Muslim, right?
Nope, not at all.
So what are you, an atheist?
As close as you can get to it.
Okay, so you're an anti-religious. So you also
No, that's incorrect. Atheists are not necessarily anti-religious.
Okay.
They just simply do not believe in God.
Anyway, well, it serves a purpose if more people were, I just feel like it's an agenda. Like anti-religious and
No,
expecting Africans to
anti
follow
your
this
religion.
will mean that you know, they're most likely to be immoral and
Why? How? This is why
then
I
they can
asked.
take advantage of the resources. It makes sense. That's why, you know, Ethiopia had 26 years of this nonsense being preached, this voodoo stuff, and you know, the Oromos have been encouraged to worship trees and things like that,
So
you
what?
know, and go away from religion so that they can be easily
Your
manipulated.
religion.
It fits a whole agenda to break up the continent of Africa by encouraging voodoo and witchcraft, which is just so backwards, honestly.
So
We don't
voodoo and
need that on
witchcraft
our
are bad,
continent. We've
but a
had it
man.
since the Egyptians.
Voodoo and witchcrafts are bad, but man walking on water, raising the dead, curing the blind, that's all good.
Yes, it is. Yeah, obviously, because you don't believe in that, so I'm not going to explain
So
it.
voodoo is
I
bad,
don't
but
really
all
know
that
who
stuff is
you are,
good.
Banksy, because you probably are an agent, so I don't really want to discuss with you.
No,
Yeah,
I'm
carry
just
on,
I'm
everyone
just
else.
saying, what have they done that is bad? Have they molested children? Have they sacrificed children to the gods? Have they beaten and abused animals? What have they done?
Just Google it. You can read up on it.
So you don't actually know what they've done.
I know what I've done, but I don't need to explain it to you, like I said, because
Oh, so but you're here to say that they're evil, but you don't want to explain to us why
because
they're
I don't
evil.
want to explain to you. You obviously know what
No, I
voodoo
actually
is,
don't know anything about these
especially
religions.
on the continent of Africa, and we just don't need this BS on our continent. That's my opinion.
It's not your
Titan, would you like to
continent.
take over, please?
You don't
Because Max
own a
is
continent. You know
talking.
that, right?
Is anyone else want to join in? Jump Street. Thank you.
Yeah, hello everybody.
Hi.
Asked me to jump in because I'm from 21 Jump Street, but I don't know what to talk, so I just listening. Go ahead.
Okay, so far we realized that our queen is Christian and like
Judeo
other
Christian type Kalam.
Judeo.
Judeo Christian, yeah.
Yeah. Are you an
Right.
Ethiopian Orthodox?
Yes, I
Or-
am. But again, that goes back to Judaic Christian. It's a different. It's not a what's
I'm
the word?
aware.
Hmm?
I'm aware.
Yeah. That's what I meant. Yeah.
So yeah, our queen is from the Judeo-Christian roots, Ethiopian Orthodox Christian, and of course, just like most of the Abrahamic faiths, they've been taught to have a negative disposition against traditional or indigenous religions on the continent in favor of, the Abrahamic faiths, i.e., Christianity. Um, there's not much that I would like to actually argue against. There's not much I would like to argue against. I would rather say I think we should take on the values of being tolerant and appreciating the diversity of other cultures and not necessarily view them from our own religious lens and try to have an understanding of where they're coming from and whether they are truly doing something evil or not. And if they are doing something that is classified or is seen as evil or negative to the people and to their surroundings, then yeah, we can have a fair critique of them. But otherwise, we should stay away from. Hold on. We should stay away from disparaging these cultures and their practices because they're not in line with our own culture or our own religious practice or our own religious ideology.
Kel.
Sorry, I just want to say, Titan, your microphone was really bad for a while. Was it just me or everyone else heard that as well?
Yeah, it was
I
pretty
think
rough.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Let me try again.
Yeah, it's good now. It's good now.
Did you not hear what I said though?
Yes.
It faded out. That's what it was. It faded out a little bit.
No problem. Okay, as long as we heard, that's cool. But yeah, I don't really want to attack the sister. I don't want to do that, and I don't want to encourage others to do that. She just has a difference of opinion. When she's actually have an open dialogue about this, and we can put some research on the table, then we can do something like that. But otherwise, let's keep it skipping.
Yeah, Kel, what I wanted to say is, in this sense, I do understand where Serena comes from. In that sense, she wants to defend her religion and also that there are a lot of influences that are not Christian that they have to become that. In my case, like if I study Christianity, but it's like if you do a thorough study, you do have to respect everybody's religious background, whatever it is. I mean, that's what you can read in the Bible as well. It's like we're not the judge, and it means that even, for example, this general called Joshua, that was appointed after Moses, he already told that whoever you want to serve, go serve him. Like if it's Baal or whoever, but we chose to serve all God. So it's a very individual choice. It's your responsibility. What we can do is share the information. People can choose for themselves if it's credible or not, and that's actually what it is.
Yeah, I just wanted to just point. I just want to throw this out there for Callum. You said, don't be confrontational, but Callum, I don't even know this religion she's talking about. But if somebody comes here and says these people are evil, they're this spreading evil hatred, they're immoral, how is this not confrontational? I mean, if someone came up to me and just said to me, "You are evil and you're spreading disbelief and you're demonized and you're immoral," how am I supposed to actually take that? You see, I'm not a religious person, but I know plenty of people of the minority religions who have to face people like this lady every day. They have to run away from their home country of birth because they were Baha'is, because there were Zoroastrians, and I've met many Iranian Zoroastrians, even in this country, who are still to this day afraid to admit that they are Zoroastrian to other Iranians because of they fear
We're not
persecution
talking about
in
Iran,
Britain.
Maxi. We're
No,
talking
no,
about
no. I'm talking about people just
okay.
like
Don't
you
link
who
things
go
up.
around demonizing other people's
It's
faiths
not
and
demonizing. It's opinion. It's a
no,
public sharing
you
platform, and I express
literally
my opinion.
demonize their whole faith. You
Yeah, I don't
literally
agree with it.
said
That's
they're
my personal
demons and they're
opinion.
devils
I
and
can
this and
say
that.
it is evil. It is if you know
It,
what goes on in Africa with the
and
voodoo,
that is
then you
why
will agree.
I challenged you the
And
way
that's
I
what's
did. What
held our
have they
continent back.
done that
That's
is
what held
evil?
our continent back. I mean,
What
just
have
like
they
our
done to
brother
hold
guy
your
was
continent
discussing.
back?
Yes, our continent, our black continent.
What have they done to hold your continent back? Is you seem to have a claim on a continent.
Yes, we do because I'm black and I'm African
No,
and you're
but
not.
you don't have a
Why
claim.
don't
I don't have a claim on
Asia? Why
Asia
don't you
because I'm
talk
Middle
about
Eastern.
Iran? Okay, he's talking about Kemetic religion that's specifically linked to Africa. It's got nothing to do with
Yeah.
Iran. And
What have they done to
you're
make
talking
them
about a
evil?
totally different subject in another continent. Actually,
No. I'm using an
part of Africa.
example of how
The tectonic
religious
plate is linked to
people of
Africa.
the Abrahamic
Yeah.
religion demonize all the other religions and how they talk about them and how they ridicule them, so that even to this very day, those people who've left those countries where they were being persecuted are still
Nobody,
afraid
no,
to
no,
admit.
we don't have that problem in Africa. They don't like leave the continent because of religious reasons. That's got nothing to
Are
do
they
with
persecuted? Are
Africa.
they
They're not
marginalized?
persecuted. They're not persecuted. You're talking about a totally different subject
So
that's
why
related
do you
to
hate them so
Iran.
much?
There's no problem like that in Africa.
So
We're
why
just
do you
having a
hate them so much?
discussion about religion, and Kalam's got, he's got his right. It's his show. He's talking about it, and there's other different people talking about it. That's the whole point of a discussion, so we can have different views. So I don't know why you're making this issue about Iran. It's not.
No, I'm giving you an example. It is
Yeah,
an
well, again, you're twisting
analogy.
the whole debate to something different in another part of the world. Anyway, is
I'm
anyone else going to speak? What about that guy with the Indian outfit? Can he speak? What's his name?
All right,
Indian
family,
outfit.
let me jump in. Let me
Feather.
jump in quickly, yeah. All right, family. So let's do this, right? Let's just get the rules onto the table so we're all, standing on equal platforms, right? So rule number one is please keep your mics muted at all times. Rule number two is respect our Titans cipher. Right now, everybody on the panel and who is about to join the panel is considered a Titan. So when they're speaking, please respect them, respect their speech, and just keep your mics on mute so you can hear them out and we can hear them out. As well, the third and final rule is please no profanity and no ad hominems. Okay, no ad hominems. All right, so let's try not to attack each other in that respect, and let's try to speak in a nice, harmonious fashion in a way that we can actually confront each other, but one that doesn't lead us to feel any animosity against each other. Let's try that, family. Let's do that. So it seems as though that you guys want to stick on to the subject off what Jarina was saying. And the reason why I don't actually want to stick on the subject of what Jarina is saying, I don't particularly think, and I'm going to apologize in advance, I don't particularly think that Jarina is clued up on this subject itself. And that's the reason why I don't want to actually go against her at present. I would rather just speak to her in a nice, nurturing fashion, get her to kind of understand and be educated on, traditional religions within inside of Africa and the Kemetic philosophy itself, so she can give a fair appraisal of it, rather than a one-sided, view of it based upon whatever she's been taught about traditional African religions. So that's why I'm easing up right now. I'm easing up, right? I'm easing up. I know you don't want me to burn some fire, but I'm easing up because we know we need to educate ourselves before we can actually go any further. So let's do this, baby. Let's do this. Let me open this up once again. All right. Who hasn't spoken at present? And let me get you guys on here. Who hasn't spoken? Anybody who hasn't spoken, just unmute your mic and just say something real quickly. No? Nobody wants to say anything.
What do you want to talk about?
I mean, I want to mention something to you, Kalam, if it's okay. I mean, I've spoken, which is why I was keeping quiet, but I do want to mention something which I think you might have an answer for, or you might not. And I'm just curious with the Nuwaubians, the Kemetans, why is it that when it comes to religion, nobody really likes to talk about Akhenaten and what he did with the worship of reducing the worship of many gods to the worship of a single god called Aten? What of that religion? I mean, it seems when he was doing it BC, before Christ, he was already trying to get the Egyptians to follow one god. And this was before Christianity or before any other Abrahamic religions. So, but nobody seems to talk about Akhenaten or what he tried to do with the worship of Aten, this one god. So, I mean, as you probably know the history, I don't know, but the Egyptians were already at one point worshiping one god because of this guy. Maybe after he died, it stopped, but there was a period where they were all forced, if you want to say, but they had to worship this one god.
Yeah. See, Akhenaten is what we would consider in the majority of the schools of Kemetic philosophy as a heretic. He was a heretic, to be honest with you, and that his way of doing things lasted just with him. So in Kemetic philosophy, there has always been this one god concept, okay, in the various different schools. If you want to go into Heliopolis, you have the concept of Atum. If you want to go into the schools of Memphis, you have the concept of Ptah. If you want to go into the school of Waset, you have the concept of Amun. There's various different schools or major priestly schools within inside of Kemetic philosophy that always taught the one God principle. What he did was very much heretical, and he was speaking about the Atun, the actual sun disk, and that principle itself, which was quite a heresy. At the time, we were speaking about that which was behind the sun, or that which was behind the sun disk, or the symbolism behind that. We were speaking on high esotericism, but he kind of came in and done something completely different that nobody didn't agree with, and it was that form of monotheism where I want to destroy other people's belief system. That's not even belief system. I want to destroy the other schools that is readily available in Kemet. And that's why we don't really look up to Akhenaten for those of us who are part of Kemetic philosophy. Although the works and the art that he did produce, was actually marvelous. But at the same time, we don't really look up to him.
Okay, that's interesting to know that within Kemet, or they have someone that they view as a heretic. All right. Okay, fine. Okay, cool. All right. I didn't see that coming. All right. Thanks for that.
But again, yeah, this is what I would love for more, you know, people that come from the Kemetic school of thought, like, because there's this, a lot of people think that we're just monolith, right? Okay, who draw from Kemetic philosophy. There's a lot of us that have various different views, because Kemet is a whole empire, it's a whole region, right, that had various different schools of thought, okay, or various different universities that came to various different conclusions. So, you know, it would be awesome if we had more people from the Kemetic school of thought to kind of speak on it. Actually, we've got Asar in the building. Asar, I beg, tell our community, what is your personal opinion on Akhenaten?
Imhotep, Sheba, Imhotep to the chat, Imhotep to the panel. Akhenaten is a heretic, right? So there's a few views concerning Akhenaten. One is that he was trying to right the wrongs of the priest of Amun. The other thing is that he went a little off stray from what his father did, and he needed to be corrected. So you have Tutankhamun, King Tutsi, as I call him, correcting him and returning things back to normal. So yeah, what he does is a bit separate from what the Ramesh as a whole would say. And when you find people who follow Akhenaten, they're usually still attached to the Bible, or they're still attached to the Quran, or they're still attached to one of the Abrahamic faiths. Not so much so with us.
And so, do you follow one God in Kemet?
Well, we have the all, which has parts in it, right? So when we talk about Neb Er Chair, the Lord to the uttermost limit, he has different working parts, right? So you could say one God, if you want to, if we're using that terminology. But really, what we're looking at is all things are part of the Noon, and the Noon is a part is animated by what we call Amun. And those are the working parts. And we're talking about aspects of energy. We're talking about inner energy, and we're talking about the kinetic energy, right? So Amun is the hidden. Noon is the seen. And then you have transitions through the female Necharu. All of these are working parts of a whole.
Sorry, I was just trying to get my head around it, because I thought Christianity was complicated, but trying to get my head around this is a bit. I'll do more research on it just to.
No, okay. I'll simplify. You have a universe that you see outside, right?
Yep.
Do you know anything outside of that universe?
No.
Right. And you know, each part of this universe is inhabited and animated by the energy that created it, right?
I don't know that, but I've heard of that. Yeah, I've heard of that. I'm not going to deny it because I don't have enough knowledge to deny it. So yeah, right. I've heard of it. Yeah.
You know the difference between a live and a dead body?
Yes.
Right. So one is animated, one has lost its animating force, right?
Okay. Yep.
Simple enough. So Amun and Noon in a nutshell.
All right. Thanks for that.
No
Jeez, you see what? Yeah. When it comes to Kemetic philosophy, what people fail to realize is they want to put Kemet philosophy or Kemetic philosophies into the mold of religion. It's not religion, baby. It's not religion. It's a school of thinking. It's a school of thought. It's a way of, you know, viewing the world and trying to interpret your world. It's asking questions and coming up with solutions. It's not solutions or things or, you know, answers that's been given to you. No, it's something that you have to search and find yourself. And of course, there's other people. There's us with a body of information that our ancestors have laid down the body of, you know, a lot of the work already, and we are learning it, but we still need to go through it, and we still need to question it. We still need to apply it into our day-to-day. But come on, baby, let's get it on. Baby. Let's get it on. Let's get it on. We got revenue up in the building. Talk to me, King. What are you saying, G?
Peace, Kalam, Hotep. I just wanted to
Hotep.
add, wasn't Akhenaten half Asiatic?
I don't know about that. I don't know. Asa, is he?
Not from what I see from his lineage. His lineage shows Amenhotep III as the daddy, and his mother would be Queen Tia, and she was a Nehesi or Nubian for those who don't know what that is.
I think
so-
I look like her, by the way.
Yeah, she's gorgeous.
Because I
You're
had read,
gorgeous. Do your thing,
I'm
Jan.
not sure. I had read somewhere that his father had different Asiatic wives also, and I heard that kind of played a part. I'm not sure where I read it, but I just
He did have different wives. No, you're right. He had wives because they would pay tribute. He wouldn't send any wives from Kemet out to them, as you know from the Amarna letters. But when you talk about
yeah, I think it was the I think it might have been the Armana letters. We talking back and forth to the Canaanites and
right,
the Haberu coming in and everything like that.
Absolutely. So you know his mother is Tia.
Cause then he moved the capital where the Hyksos was, right?
Not where the Hyksos were, but he moved it to a different location in the desert. Yeah.
But like close in that proximity, like not too far.
Right. Yeah, the location is not too far. You're right.
Yeah, didn't that kind of play a part into the? I'm saying like the Civil War, like the Africans rejecting the Asiatics.
Not really. That comes about because Amosi and Kamosi were disrespected by the Hyksos, and the Hyksos sent a letter to one of the Nehesi who was a traitor. That particular Nehesi, his letter that they sent to him was intercepted. And then when they intercepted his letter, they went and sent troops down in that particular part of Ta-Kent, or we'll just say Nubia. And then he went over there and he approached the particular Asiatic, and you see them both tied to the front of the boat. One is the Nubian is tied to the front of the boat. The Asiatic is tied to the back of the boat, and that's how they met their fate, from disrespecting him. And then we start to find shortly after that era, you find things like everybody can learn. This is at one of the per-unks, but not the Asiatic. It says a particular Asiatic, not all Asians, but it says a particular Asiatic on that house of life, and it says you are not to teach them because of the betrayal.
Okay. Masar, I just wanted to ask, you don't think the Asiatics influence, coming into Kemet played a role into the civil wars, and like people, certain kings marrying Hittites and.
That's a dual question right there. But if we talk about why they married Hittites, it was to create the peace treaty, right? Especially during the Ramses era. But when we talk about
that's where the Israelites get the covenant from the Hittites.
Right, but that happens later. That happens after the dynasty, quote unquote, era. But when we talk about what starts the Civil War, we have Akhenaten not responding to people who need his assistance, that Kemet had always responded to their assistance, or the Nehesi, the Nubians, will respond to their assistance. So when he stops responding to them and they start to get overran, they start to trade and flip, and then Kemet has a lot of beef after him.
Okay. Did Akhenaten have any connection with the Mitanni people?
I believe he did. I know his story kind of slips my mind at the moment because I just hopped in here, but I believe he did have some treaties and what have you with him from the letters. But basically, when he's talking to them, he's supposed to be judicial, and he's not being judicial. And then I believe in the writings of a sage, one of them starts to disrespect him, like, you're not powerful over here, playboy. And that's kind of how they start to treat him, because He wasn't looking out for anyone but himself.
Okay. All right, that's all I had. I just jump back and listen to y'all building all that.
You are.
Were the Nubians following this belief system of Kemet? Because you had Upper and Lower Egypt. Or did it originate from Nubia, or was it just basically Upper Egypt that was utilizing this system that we now call Kemet?
It originated from Sudan, Nubia. They're the Kushites.
Yeah.
Right.
So the belief is that it came from them and then it moved up.
Yeah, of course, because that's the original people were down at Nubia, and then they sent their people up to Egypt as colony.
Right. There's a particular statement. I'm gonna let Sister Jarena go in. There's a particular statement when the Nahesi kings take over, Shashank and company and what have you. They say finally the original rulers are back on the throne. So they make this statement, and then they start to run Kemet, Taharka, et cetera, et cetera. So we know where it came from. We know the mother.
And they were also very grateful to their original homeland, because that Nile River originates from Ethiopia, because they were the same people. So they were always grateful to the Ethiopians because they provided them with that one river to flood the banks. But which makes that's why you don't see the people in Egypt right now thanking the Egyptians, because they're not African. They're not from the continent of Africa. So whereas the original Egyptians always, praised the Nubians and Ethiopians for providing them with the Nile. And they always acknowledged it, whereas the Egyptians today don't even accept that most of the water and the earth comes from Ethiopia. They don't want to admit it and thank them. So it's a whole political thing as well.
I thought the Nile originated from Lake Victoria in Uganda.
Two Nile. There's a blue Nile, the white Nile, and they meet. But the majority of the water comes from Ethiopia, and they also take Ethiopian earth, that mud, which is worth a lot more, because when it floods, that's where they can grow their food. But the original Black Kemetans, they knew this, so they used to thank the gods. They used to call Ethiopia the land of the gods because of the fact that they provided them food, whereas the people there now, they don't have any connection to Ethiopia because they're not Ethiopian. So they don't thank them for providing them with that one river to flood their banks. So yeah, it's really interesting.
And as you've clearly mentioned to us, you're a Christian. There's a particular, I can't remember the denomination, but as a Christian, how do you feel about the belief system of Kemet? Do you see it as pagan, or it is somehow linked with Christianity, or is it completely outside of Christianity? I mean, how do you feel?
To be honest, it's they were very intelligent, learned people. The ancient Egyptians, they had all that knowledge about the solar system and things like that. But obviously, they worshipped, their own gods, which is that's their religion. They worship the stars, they worship the afterlife, they worship Osiris. But then somewhere along the line, when Moses and them lot came about, and I think, as you said, Akhenaten, he believed in the one God. It was sort of related to the Abrahamic religion through that way, because he changed it and made it into a different system, whether it's Akhenaten or Tutankhamun, one of them. So
that's fascinating that you say that, because as Kalam and a couple of the guys from Kemet have said, they see him as heretical, but you mentioned him in a positive way in trying to bring about the one God system.
Yeah, it's linked. And if you look at the names, some, because the original Hebrews, they got mixed in with the Egyptians, and that's how they even came about, through the Egyptians, if you look at the history. And as you mentioned, is it Tarika? He actually helped the Israelites when they were being attacked. Is it by Persians or something? So they do have like an ally. So they have that long history together. And if you also look at the history of Hagar, she was an Egyptian whose husband, Ishmael came from. obviously Abraham and Hagar. So there's always been that connection in those days because of Egypt once also occupying Israel, and the Israelites going to Egypt, and the Israelites then spreading and going down to Sudan and going to Ethiopia, moving to West Africa. So there is that history there. And I think, you know, African Americans and Black British people need to know this. We Horners, we know it. Somalians know it.
So the Israelites came into West Africa.
They did, because went through Egypt. When they went to Egypt, they split. They went to West Africa and they went to Ethiopia. And then some went back to Israel, obviously. So they've always had that. Whenever there's a famine, they go to Egypt. That they've had that connection. But these are the original Egyptians at the time. So there was that close connection. That's a fact.
Okay, if you say so.
Yeah, research on it.
We can. Sorry, real quickly. I don't even know. I know I've been gone for a little minute, but hold on for 1 second. Yo, family tree. Hold on. Oh, sugar, that's brother Reggie up in the building.
I told you I slipped in the link.
Saber is here. 1 second though, family. Let me just quickly tell you lot from now. Yeah, you know it's gonna get. Oh my God, the show's gonna be fire. So, family, quickly go and hit the like button. Hit the like button, and make sure you go and share this link with a friend, with a family, with everybody. Okay, because it's gonna get absolutely heated right about now. So let's do this. Let me actually. So has Saber Reggie been introduced to the show yet? No? All right, Saber, please. All right, for you guys who don't know who Dr. Reggie is, right? He is one of the House of Consciousness founding fathers, right? He is the spokesperson of the Kemetic community over in New York par excellence. If you ever go over to New York and you want to go to a museum tour, he shall be the one that's taking you through the mysteries of ancient Egypt. Oh, man. My brother, my uncle, my Saber, Dr. Reggie is in the building. Peace and love, King.
Woo!
He kind of reminds me of the guy who's always like refereeing between Brother Jabari and Brother Polite when they're arguing or debating or something. Maybe he's not the guy.
No, that is the guy.
Okay, I see.
That is the man.
Peace to the UK family and to international family. It's a pleasure for me to be on, and I am hopefully going to be able to go on and do a teaching that I think is necessary. How can I say, I'm not, I've kind of changed my my relationship. So I'm creating new friends and new platforms. So I don't do too much in New York anymore, except for if you want to come on a tour, if you want to find me, you can find me. But I think I want to start again with the UK audience. I think that the New York audience and the American audience has gotten very cocky, and it's the space has gotten very saturated with teachings that need to be corrected, and there's a lot of egos involved. And the difference is that among the teachers, even though I look relatively young, I'm a student of Dr. Ben and Dr. Clark, a student of Dr. Jacob Carruthers. I took meta nature from Dr. Richetti. But there are a lot of greats in New York. Infantisi Jehudi Mas is great, and there's a lot of greats in New York. I rate a star in Ka very high. But the UK, Kalam has become a great friend of mine, a brother, a teacher, a Saber himself, and a student. I was listening to part of this part with Nubia, and I have some disagreements. The Kemet and Cash, if you want to call it, they were two separate competing kingdoms. Kemet is a child of that civilization. That civilization had its own course. It had its own netters, the early netters, being Kanun, Mut, Neith, and they gave those netters in those philosophies, those principles to Kemet. Kemet ran its own course. It quickly became an incredible civilization, combining the elements that it got from its parent, but it went its own course. But unfortunately, Kemet went astray. Kemet had several what you call intermediate periods, and those intermediate periods were telling. They deviated from the more southern African concepts. And so you find this telling in the first intermediate, well, in the Old Kingdom with Imhotep and Neterket. And Neterket was suffering a famine. And in the course of this famine, he went to his chief lector, priest Imhotep, and he asked, why isn't the Nile flooding? Now, at this particular point, it showed a very big disconnect between Kemet and the South, from the Old Kingdom. And Imhotep, it's in the Stela of Yabu, it's in the famine stela, and so Imhotep went to the souls of Re, which is the books. And he went into the Par'ark, he went to Shrine of Tahuti, and he read the works, and it basically said that that Kemet had stopped paying reverence to the South. But that had a lot of implications. One, you could look at it as a connection to the religion or the belief system. But the other part of it had a disconnect with the astrology. It had a disconnect with the sciences of Nubia. So that's one of the telling parts of the separation between Cash or Kermer or Kush, as you want to call it, and Kemet. So when we get to this part where the sister was talking about, was that had practiced a more ancient of Nile Valley culture. They were the parents. They ultimately ended up embracing Amun, but that is because of the wars between Kemet and Kish. There were wars. And the other part of it was simply that the priests in Kemet had become dirty beginning from the 18th dynasty to the 21st dynasty, and Kemet was split again into Smaitawi was destroyed, and Kemet was there was two kingdoms, the north and the south, and the people of Nubia had retained a system that was uniquely theirs, combined with ancient Kemet, and they came back to reunify Kemet. And now I'll stop there to hear some comments, and then I'll say some things. I'll back my points up with some things that people will not necessarily like. I just think that we over romanticize stuff. We're regurgitating a lot of stuff, and so we have to come back and we have to do some primary research. So I do agree with the sister of the primacy of what was happening in the South, but too often we look at ancient Kemet as if it was perfect, and we don't want to admit the deterioration, the invasions, the other groups of people that are entering into Kemet, and Kemet is after the 18th dynasty. Kemet is on a decline. It is on a decline, and on many of our scholars, we the religious scholars, the so-called Kemetic priests and stuff, they pick up on the 18th dynasty without understanding what the 18th dynasty actually that it was in deterioration. So I'll stop there. Here's some comments, and maybe I'll come back and say some things that that will be helpful, but nonetheless true, and that I can back it up. We over romanticize Kemet. What we have to do is we have to look at Nile Valley civilization, including the parts of Tash Kerma and Ethiopia, and some of these other places where there was a, how can I say, a more how can I say, a culture that preserved some of the things that Kemet had lost. And then, of course, the Pianki, Shabaka, Taharka, and the others came to bring back to ancient Kemet when it was at its worst decline. But I'll stop. I just say we over romanticize things. We're into this new Kemetic so-called culture that we don't want to see the problems of ancient Kemet, and if we can't see the problems of ancient Kemet, we can't solve problems today with it, because we're over romanticizing, and our enemies are laughing at us because we're not even looking at the primaries. We're actually following regurgitation from them. So I'll stop and listen to what y'all have to say.
Oh man. All right. So I know we got loads of people tuned in right now. I know this is going to be absolutely mind-blowing for a lot of you guys. Please grab a pen, grab a pad, and take some notes. I can see Afro and Rav saying, please, I beg, get me Dr. Reggie's email. I want to study under Dr. Reggie. How can we get in contact with Dr. Reggie? So Dr. Reggie, if somebody wanted to get in contact with you and be underneath your tutelage and guidance, what can they do?
Well, right now I'm primarily working with Asar and Ka. I'm restarting. I'm not working with how can I say it? I'm a teacher of my own, though I respect Infidisi, and I respect a lot of the work in ancient Kemet. It's just that I'm gonna talk to Asar and Ka, try to figure a way in which we could form some type of relationship. I think that first of all, you have to study with the primaries. If you're here talking and you don't pull up a primary to prove your point, then it's just a talk show, right? I could give you a reference to talk about. One part that we were just talking about was even in the Old Kingdom, they had separated themselves from Cash or Kerma, and they were on their own way, and they were doing some great things, but they were hiring a bunch of workers from Canaan and coming into the Old Kingdom, and the Old Kingdom was full with nepotism. They were passing it down to their sons instead of skilled people, and that ultimately at the end of the day, something devastating happened in the Old Kingdom during the first intermediate period that many people do not know. The old Kemet had kind of separated to the north and the south. So this was what they call Dep, or what they want to call Hierachronis, and Abydos or Abju. And there was a war between those two groups of people in the Old Kingdom, and that what the people in the Hierachronis did was they came back and they went to Abydos and they burned. They burnt the old. They went into the tombs of de jure and many of those, and they actually desecrated the mummies. I mean, not the mummies, but the sahus, the sahs. They basically burnt. They disconnected themselves from the more ancient origins of Nubia, and so they people do not know they actually desecrated those tombs and burnt those tombs, and there was a series of warlords, and it was only with Mentuhotep, again from the south, who came to reunify ancient Kemet. So there was a lot of desecrations of the more ancient cultures.
Okay. All right. So I know we've got Rich Kid. Rich Kid, I beg, just say peace to the family. Introduce yourself to Dr. Reggie.
Brother Reggie is fine.
Yes, Brother Reggie. Peace to the family. When they had a remember that thing you had with the Hebrews, Kemet on trial?
Yes.
I sent you an email regarding the works of what's the guy who wrote the Bible that Hebrews claim? King James.
Yes.
I sent you an email regarding the book Dematology that he wrote, because I didn't hear no one really speaking on it. I did see Polite speaking on it in the end, but I didn't really think that he went in.
Sorry, can I just interrupt? King James did not write the Bible. He just had it translated from the original written Bible, which was from the Ethiopian Bible. So he had it translated. He didn't actually write the Bible. It's not from his word.
Okay, well, that's what the Hebrew Israelites say. So
he funded the project. Oxford and Cambridge, the European scholars in Oxford and Cambridge, they compiled the Bible. King James was just a beneficiary, the funder. He that's his legacy. He had nothing else to do with the project except for commission it and fund it. But it was the scholars, the European scholars in Oxford and Cambridge, that basically had the primaries of. They had collected the primaries of what they could, and they rewrote the story. There were of course, other Bibles, but yes, the sister is correct.
All right. You know what I would love to do right now, okay, is because we've got a lot of newbies in here. We've got people from, Hebrew Israelite, Christians, atheists, Jews. We've got Sikhs, Hindus. We've got everybody up in here right now. All right. And I would really love for us to get to the starting point. Okay. So if we wanted to do like a Kemet class 101, Kemet 101, all right. What is Kemet and what is Kemetic philosophy, and what are the introductory works that one should get themselves familiar with?
Well, I think that we're going to have to reteach ourselves. I think that what we did in New York and me working with Polite and Amin Squad and Shaka Amos was to put ourselves on trial to see what we knew. And that was that particular period. And that was a period of a reaction in response to the Hebrews. And at this point, their history is really what they claim is really not relevant. It's not really relevant. You should start with the primaries. We should start with the Nermer Stele palette. We should start with that. We should seek to understand from that particular artifact what was in fact going on. What was the reason for ancient Kemet being unified? What is all of the parties? None of that has anything to do with Arabism or Christianity or Hebrew. That period of time, these groups of people did not exist. It was solely an African story. And once we get past the normal palette, then we have to start looking at the institutions that Kemet began to create. For example, the Per Ankh, the House of Life, this institution, and we have to look at the pieces. Now there were two pieces. I'm going to do a presentation, but there were the emerging group of people that would become the priesthood. But before the priesthoods, there was the Rekets. They were the knowers. Two distinct groups of people: the knowers and the priesthood. And so there has always been a collision between knowledge for knowledge's sake and knowledge connected with the divine. And of course, the priesthood would eventually gain more power, and they would become the group of people that were heavily involved in the coronaries of the kingships and queenships, the rulership. They helped decide who would be the next groups of people, and they put themselves, they became very, very powerful. So the answer to your question is, what we would need to do is we need to study the Sabiets. These are the moral and ethical literature. We have to study the institution, the Per Ankh. We have to study the sciences, and then we have to consult all of the relevant primary texts, right? And then we have to, but as we do that, we're going to have to use the tool called the Ses Medunecha. We can't just keep talking without forcing ourselves to read the Ses Medunecha, and then we have to start using the terms that they use, because there is not a one-in-one connection between European, in the language that we speak, which is the European language primarily, French or English, and ancient Egypt. And my biggest criticism now is that we have become acculturated. So we have to look at the Sabiets. We have to look at the institutions. We have to look at the secular institution. We have to look at the belief institutions. We have to look at the science, the sciences, including astronomy. We have to look at the cosmology. We have to look at what the concepts of existence itself, the concepts of what a netter is. Netter is not a god. Netter is a principle, deified principles. And then we fundamentally, one of the things that we have to do is Kemet and Nubia pays enormous reverence to the female, to Mut, to all of the high principles of these civilizations were female. And I've noticed that it's become very, very, very male oriented.
Yes.
And so we're taking a path that is actually un-African.
Dr. Reggie, Brother Reggie, can I just ask you a question? Do you think that's why there's a lot of attack against Black women? Because historically they knew that, Black women run the world. And do you not think that that's the reason why that everything has been flipped, reversed, and in this crazy patriarchal world we live in?
Correct. I think that when we have lost the energy to allow our women to speak for our culture, and yeah, we have what we have lost is civilization itself and our connection to civilization. It was a Set and Nebhet who, in mythology, not real life, in mythology, resurrected a man, a fallen man. It was also this man was born of a woman. It was a Set and Nebhet that. That the mysteries of ancient Kemet actually center around. Hor, the sun, is a spokesperson. The Nosut is a spokesperson of a science that is directly connected to women. You can go to Noptoplaya, buried within Noptoplaya, or female cows. Hathor, it was a cult around the reverence for females. So now today we have all of these male speakers on ancient Kemet, not knowing that the highest priest would be an expert on the female deities. So the minute that we push our women to the side, we become Hebrews and Arabs and all these other people. We have, but at the same time, just can you hear me? Because my thing is spinning. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. We can hear you.
When we were formulating ourselves, yes, we had Dr. Yosef ben Jochanan who opened up the Nile, but Dr. Yosef ben Jochanan, he had always pointed to the female, and then just by a stroke of great love, Dr. Jacob Carruthers, one of our great sabers, he encouraged Dr. Riketti Amen to continue her studies and become a linguist and pursue her PhD. And anybody know what Riketti means? Does anybody know what Riketti means?
No. What is Riketti?
It's a Nile Valley word. Anybody know? Any sabers here know what Reket means?
I would say.
Do you mean rukat?
Yes.
Rukat.
No.
The Islamic prayer?
No.
Reket.
Yeah. The subjects or those who are known in the realm.
Okay. So Rek is knower, and ket is things. The knower of things, right? And so that's what I was talking about earlier. That we had people who were the knower of things, and part of the knower of things were often women. Women were knowers of things, and then that changed to become hymnetchers and hymnetchers, and then Kemet got very, very male oriented. The civilization was collapsing. They got rid of the hymnetchers, the hymnetterettes, and they created the God's wife concept, where they just used. So then you have Amos Nefertari, you have God's wife. So the Amun priest got rid of the hymnetchers. You will see no hymnetchers in the 18th dynasty. They demoted women.
Can I ask you something, Dr. Reggie? Do you think that do you think patriarchy destroyed Kemet? That's what initially destroyed it.
Well, first, you see, okay, so I don't, it's hard. I don't want to get into a kind of a patriarchy and feminism and things like that. Mm-hmm. The concept that we come from a woman, that we are birthed and not sharing ideas or taking counsel with our women destroyed African civilization.
Do you think the same thing's happening now with this very anti-women and anti, basically everything's pro-patriarchy.
Yeah, for women, first of all temples in ancient Kemet are, all temples are, they're not the temples of men, they're temples of females. You enter at the feet of a woman, you pass through the mirrored lake, which is the seminal fluid. You enter into the womb as an initiate, and you become, if you're wild, if you become pure, you enter into that edifice, her canal, pure. You have to be a pure human being, and then you go into the process, and then you are born or reborn inside her womb. The womb is the temple. If you notice, they're all pregnant, and so that is where you're born, and that the brain of the temple is female, right? The holies of holies is female. Oftentimes, in many of the temples, you will see at the end of the holies of holies, you might see someone like Hathor or Het Hero. Later, of course, that you will see the king, and you will see male deities, but we have become un-African. Yeah,
I feel like that system was very much the thing around the world, like India, but then patriarchy just took over, and that's what we see now. And it's just, especially in Africa, patriarchy has really been pushed, and they literally silenced, Black women's voice as if we've been weak. We've never been weak, and that's what's happened in my country, Ethiopia, where the royal lineage was passed through women, and they don't even want to discuss about that part of the history because patriarchy has been put on our society with this disgusting regime that the West put in since 1991. And it's not only in Ethiopia, it's all over Africa. So let's just hope that the system just breaks down, because it's destroying the equilibrium of the planet, I think. Just got out of hand. And especially now here in the UK, we're also seeing a lot of men who identify as women, and taking women's voices and just taking over, basically. So we see it now. It's just so relevant what you're saying. Do you have a website or something where we can get more?
No, I have teachings all over the place, but I'm gonna start anew. Hopefully, with Asar and Ka and some others. I'm just changing the way I do things. So the point is that in African society, you would risk your life. You would risk your life for your mother. You would risk your life for your wife. You would risk your life. You would fight for your children. We have been transformed that we will now risk our life for a religion instead of our mother. It was, and so that is how Kemet was broken. Kemet is broken when you could decide it's all right that your women are raped, your women are stolen and taken, right? And for the sake of saving your God.
Mm-hmm. Interesting. So we look forward to this horrible system breaking very soon.
Yeah, but at the same time, our women have been corrupted. Our women think like men. Our women are religious, right? Our women will kill for God or for these manufactured faiths, right? So we really have to start anew. So I would like to see, of course, I'm glad that you're on. I'd like to see more women teachers. It just kills me when I see all these so-called priests teaching, and there's no connection, there's no honoring of women, or nor do they want to create the systems where we teach women and project them.
It's so true. And, you know, if you follow YouTube Speakers Corner, a sister called Betty, she often talks about it, how, you know, there's so much misogyny and anti-female, anti-black women. You know, she faces that basically. And she talks about, do these men feel like they just dropped out of the air? They didn't. They came from a woman. But there's something about the system that's turning them really carnal, and this patriarchal system it's almost like when, you know, the earth was full of what is it, dinosaurs, and, you know, when the Noah's flood had to literally flush out the system. That's how men are changing, and I feel personally it's just getting out of hand.
Yeah, well, we had Sekhmet in our own tradition in our valley. We have Sekhmet. Sekhmet was the eater of blood. She was a female. She was used to cleanse. She was used to cleanse humanity until her wrath was so atrocious. She was unstoppable. So we have all of this in our. We have the lessons. What we have done is, again, we have a lot of Nile Valley male teachers who basically they're not Nile Valley. There's nothing about them that's Nile Valley. And then when I argue with them, I say, let's argue text for text. Let's argue.
Yeah. They're making it up. They're making it up.
Yeah,
they're making stuff up and not using any primaries, and then half of them can't even read or even relate the language back to you. It's just shameful.
Yes,
Too much misinformation. Even like the Hebrew Israelites, some of them are so confused. Like they're so anti-women, and, you know, they're like, oh, you women have to obey us. Like, so much.
What we have to do is first. We have to start to know. We don't have to include. We don't have to talk about Hebrews. We don't have to include them in our work. We don't have to include Arabs in our work and Arabized Africans in our work. All of those groups of people borrow things from Nile Valley. So we don't have to include them in our work. We just have this is just a contest between men. We don't have to do that. You understand what I'm saying? We don't have to include, and that's what I at one point when I get a chance to speak, to do actually a teaching, my teachings really have nothing, in fact, to do with them. It has something to do with our own problems. Yeah.
Very interesting. And you're based where? In New York or?
Yeah, I live in New York, but I am. We're online, so I'm wherever I need to, where I need to be. So it's not. I teach. When I teach, I primarily like to teach in museums.
Okay.
Because I can see the primaries, and then we could look at the primaries.
Dr. Reggie, what do you say about the Middle East originally obviously was people were black, and as you can see in the museums with their cornrows and their afros, clearly black features, but for some reason, why is it that people lack common sense that the Middle East is literally a few swimming meters, like a swimming pool distance from Africa, and there was so much connection with Africa, but now they act like the Middle East is like somewhere in Antarctica, like it's so far that the people can't take a little.
I disagree. I disagree. I think that early history from Canaan shows that these people were unevolved people until they had contact with Africa. The people, the Sagigas of what they call Sumer, they were African until they were destroyed by the Akkadians.
Okay,
right?
when the Asiatics came in, yeah.
Right. So the Sagiga people seem to have uh, left Africa in antiquity, found a new Nile Valley, the Tigris and Euphrates, created a civilization that was Bantu, um, and that also had reverence for women, and it was destroyed by the Akkadian, which were the Semitic, which was the Semitic groups of people, and so the just because someone looks black doesn't mean they have a ancient value system.
Originally, the whole Earth was black. All the people were black. They just ended the.
No. See, then we go into evolution. It's just we go into evolution. There was a common ancestor called Heidelbergensis. Heidelbergensis gave birth to two direct descendants. How could I say? One Neanderthalis, and the other was
yes, a different species.
Yeah, different species. And then there was a species of man called basically Rhodesia. And that group became Homo sapien only in Africa. The Neanderthals was a separate group of human beings. Were brown.
They were ugly, very ugly.
Brown. I'm not gonna rate them, but they had different different qualities to survive in the north, and ultimately Homo sapien and the Neanderthal actually admixed somewhere in Canaan and admixed in Spain.
Okay.
And then we began to share genome material. So yes, we have brown people, but what we want to look at is a value system. What was the value system of these people? What did they revere? What did they respect? And so yes, you have brown people, but like today, you have brown people today who are as ugly. I mean, before there was an Arab, there was a Canaanite, right?
Yeah, Hebrew.
Yeah. There was what you call an Asiatic. The ancient people of Kemet spoke specifically about these group of people, that their bellies led them, that they the bellies propelled their legs. They had no value system, and they contributed nothing to civilization prior to their encountering again with Africa.
Well, Dr. Reggie, why is it that historians have a hard why is it they just cannot believe that Africans use a boat and can travel around the earth? Like, why can they not admit that, you know, they have traveled all over the earth, and also the planet, well, the continents, they were a lot closer as well, so they weren't as far apart as they are now. So why is it so hard for them to believe that Africans didn't leave the continent of Africa? Is that a conspiracy in your opinion?
I mean, that is part of the that is the part of invasion. That's the virus. That's the virus of information. The fact of the matter is that we accept it.
We traveled. I mean, we were the first people who knew who basically the Kemetans and the ancient Egyptians, they knew how to use the stars to navigate the whole earth. So why can they not understand that? That knowledge that they got from the Black Africans, that they could not travel around the world. Like, where is the dumbness? Like, where did it come from? Like, how can you call yourself a historian and you can't even work that out?
Religion. Because they had no origin, they had to create an origin, and they created their origins in their religious books. The Bereset, the Bible, the Quran. They created. These are people, AD people, who have no major contribution for the for most of humanity's recorded and unrecorded history. They had to create their own Genesis. So,
and at the same time, destroy the people that provided you that information to use basic knowledge of using the stars to navigate. And so that's when they started to rewrite Africa as this prehistoric, backward place where it just does not make sense.
Well, it does make sense. It's warfare. If you are it's warfare. I mean, the European didn't do science until the 15th of 13th, 14th, 15th century. They didn't do science. They were vetted by the church. They didn't do science. Huh?
Yes, sorry. Yes, fam. I'm just gonna cut in real quickly. Family Tree, I know that you are listening in inside of the comments section. Please, if you've got any question for us, please just simply tag Titans TV. But we're entering into, truth be told, I was supposed to have finished by now, right? But I know, Brother Reggie, have you got a presentation that you want to?
Not today, but I did want to. I teach with primaries, so if you look on my screen, this is a conversation between Neterket and Imhotep. It was an ancient or more ancient conversation, and then you actually find it in the Stela Yabu, which is in the Ptolemy, but it talks about a period of time that the Ptolemies could not, and that it says over here in the Medu-Neter that it basically says from the Medu-Neter, he departed, he returned to me quickly. He let me know the flow of happy, his shores, and all the things that it contained. He disclosed to me the hidden wonders to which the ancestors had made their way, and no king has equaled them since. Let me just see if I have, do I have it early? Let me just get to this point. So, so here is this conversation between Neterket, who is Zoser, and Imhotep, and the Nile is not flowing. And he goes to his lector priest, Imhotep, and he asks him a question about why is the Nile not flowing. And in here is his response. And so basically it says that he disclosed to me, he let me know, meaning Imhotep, let Neterket know the flow of happy, meaning from the Blue Nile and the White Nile, his shores and all the things that they contain from the south. He disclosed to me the hidden wonders to which the ancestors, the African from the south, had made their way, and no king has equaled them since. And then he says, he goes into the shrine I dwell in has two lips. When I open up the well, I know happy hugs to feel a hug that fills each nose. For when he hugs the field is reborn, I shall make happy gush for you, no year of lack. And then it goes into this other thing that's very feminine, the earthly elevation, celestial hill, seat of happy when he prepares to give life to every face. His temple's name is joy of life. The twin caverns in his water's name, they are the breast that nourishes all. And if you look at the Medu-Neter, you will see the two breasts. So all of this is, he's looking at the south is very, very feminine. This is where our ancestors made its way. And then it goes on to ask Neterket, Imhotep is telling Neterket that you must learn the name of the stones. You must know all the things of the south. And then, you basically need to learn the names of the gods and goddesses of the temples of Khnum, Satis, Anubis, Happy, Shu, Geb, Nut, Osiris, Horus, Aset, and Nepheg. And this is the Medu-Neter that says what I am saying. So, I don't want to take over your show. I know you have some other things to do, but we cannot continue to teach this work without teaching directly the using primary documents to in fact teach, instead of letting all these gurus get up there and start using words like nature and making all of these acting as if they know something when they in fact don't even use. We don't need those teachers. We need people who could just show us the meta nature as a guide. I don't want to hear from no dude or anybody dressed up in some ancient wear as if just show me the meta nature. Just show me the meta nature. I'll be happy.
I love that. I love that. Oh man, show me your source if you are truthful. We ain't here for the deceptions. We're not here for the theatricality. All we want is the straight information. Show me it on the primary. Show me it on the walls, the temples, the pyramids, the papyruses, the papyri, the stelae, all of these things. Show us. Show us.
It's not a male created civilization. Here I'm showing you Renzori, right? It's the source of the Nile. You could see places like breasts. It's all feminine. You could see a stream of life-giving substances. Ancient Kemet, ancient Africa, is all feminine. It is not a male land. And so we've lost that. And what we substituted for is a bunch of teachers who are male, who are not guided by who are guided largely by their own egos and listen, and I'm not trying to, because I know other people are listening from the United States. There are some great teachers who teach. There's our brother Jabari who teaches. I'm not talking about my friends. I'm just talking about where we have gone and how do we correct it. One thing I do love about Jabari, he teaches with his wife. So I can't say anything, will not say anything. So it's not about that. But there are a lot of people who they teach and they make sure they have a whole bunch of wives. But they're not teaching. Just give us the primary. Show us resort. Show us the text. I don't want to see your I gotta be careful about my words. I don't want to see
realness.
Huh?
I said free the realness. Free the
Be
realness.
nice, Saber. Be nice.
Don't hold back, Reggie.
No, be nice, Saber. Be nice.
Maheru.
Yeah. So this text right here was when Imhotep is speaking. He says, for those who can read the Meta-Necha, the glyphs are there, the transliterations are there, and the English is basically said. Imhotep says, Imhotep says, I shall go to the mansion of the net. And you could see that starting from the left side of my screen, that he is going to the mansion of the net. And the mansion of the net, you see on top of the shrine, it is a cow. It is like Hathor, right? I'm going to the mansion of the net. It is designed to support a man in his deeds, right? And so the meta-necha of it is the Inhenet, Hawat, Shehet, Sheker. And most of those words are feminine. It shall support a man in his deeds. I shall enter into the house of life, or the Per Ankh. So you should see the Per Ankh there. You should see the Per Ankh. It's Ankh in two parrots. Unrolls the souls of Ray and be guided by them. So if you're reading the Meta-Necha is very, 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 very feminine, right? The language itself gives reference to women. So I think I've said enough for now. Unless someone has a particular question.
Nah, you went in. You said Ankh Uitef, Kerem, move, but you moved it. There it is. So the Ba'u Nesu Ra Seshem Seshemi Resin.
Yes.
So the Ba'u, the souls, Nesu, the kings of, or the scrolls of Ra from the Sesh, the scribes in Resin. So yeah, you that type of statement right there is pure. It makes it clear what we read. We read what we call the souls in Ra, the Ba'u Imra. And if you want to be righteous, if you want to be the man, if you want to be a Noah, you go to the scrolls, you find out what's being said. Primary resource. That's how it's done.
Yeah. You don't go
Reggie, when are you coming to the UK?
Huh?
When are you coming to the UK?
In time. In time. In time. I'm in UK right. I'm in UK right now. I'm doing what I'm doing right now. I would do in UK. We're online. So I will get to the UK. I mean, I'm kind of changing and separating myself. I will get there. Or Sar and Ka, we will get there. What we want to do is we want to get there and we want to bring the text. All right, we want to bring the text. I'm not bringing myself. I care less about my flesh. Don't worry about that. What I'm
but we can do this through the museum.
Yeah.
We can go out there. Let's
so I'm still waiting for you to get your ass over here.
I'm coming. We coming. Say no more. We coming. We going over there.
Before we come, I mean, first of all, there's some meta nature I can speed read through, and then there's some meta nature that like I myself have to sit back and say, wow, let me just take a look at this. But prior to that, we can make our points with the text, right? And then we can get to every museum has its biases, it has its strengths and it has its weaknesses. The Metropolitan Museum of Art, where I do most of my work, is very well laid out. Right from the beginning, it shows the primacy of women, the importance of women. The Brooklyn Museum does not. The Penn State Museum, which I also go to, it's better than the Brooklyn Museum. But prior to that, we just have to get through some of this. If I'm talking, look at the Medu Nature. Forget me, Reggie, Brother Reggie, Dr. Reggie. Read what I'm saying from my ancestors, right? Let's just get through me going to the mansion of the net. It is designed to support a man in his deeds. Let's show the meta nature. Let's show the transliterations. Let's check the translation to make sure that it says what it says, and let's build a per ankh inside of our minds. We are actually Catholic priest, Baptist priest, Episcopal priest. We are basically imams, applying all of that stuff to ancient Egyptian culture. And if anybody with a sense could step back and see, we're not in our minds. We're not approaching the work. What we're doing is we're acculturating. We're bringing in Judeo-Christian and Islam into our primacy, and these things don't exist for thousands of years later. Just get through the meta nature. Have people bring you the meta nature, and let's get through it, and let the meta nature and the guidance from our ancestors be the guide, rather than people starting with the Nezarek, Nut. Those things are useful, but let's just see the whole text. Let's see what else they say, without taking a swipe from some of my great friends. I'm just challenging them. I could challenge them because I am a student of Dr. Ben. I am a student of Dr. Clark. I am a student of Jacob Carruthers. I am a student of Dr. Richetti, and I'm a student of yours. I am your student also. I'm always a student. I can always be corrected, but the text is more important. And the text, and I'm reading this text is not religious to me. This text, what it is to me, is information that our ancestors wrote for us to relook at it, to rebuild our civilization. It's not about Reggie. It's about the text. Do you understand what I'm saying? So anybody who's getting in front of you, who's just using all these fancy words and stuff, nah. Say, you know what? If you're not showing me the text, miss me with that. Miss me with that. I don't want to hear you just show me, unroll your Ba and Ray. I want to see the souls of Ray, right? I want to see what was written. Otherwise, miss me with your fancy speaking.
And the mic drops, and that's.
So Reggie, are you gonna come to the Petrie Museum?
I would like to. I would like to go to as many museums, but what I also would want to say is let me just say, what I also want to say is that the museums, the museums, every museum has a holies of holies. You know that, right?
Mm-hmm.
And you know what that holies of holies is in every museum?
Yeah, break it down to me.
The library.
Yeah.
Every museum has a library,
yeah.
right? Yes, they have a basement with artifacts, but they also have a library, because you can't have artifacts in a museum without a history of how those artifacts got there. So you need a guide. So every museum has a library. So let's start getting into these libraries. Let's start collecting the primaries, and then we don't need. Yes?
And that's what I was saying about the Petrie. The Petrie is part of the UCL, the University City of London. And you will understand that most of all the paperwork that they've done from the British Library has now been taken all to the from the British Museum taken to the British Library. So any forms of documents will be in the British Library. And
that's correct. And so there you have it. So the even though Petrie, the racist that he is, he has a library. That is where we get the primaries. Once we get the primaries, the more primary, then you can have teachers teach and use the primaries instead of doing these rituals. I am not a how can I say, the rituals are supposed to remind us of our culture. Me and Asar and Kyle, we continue to talk about how we want to handle this information, how we want to, what is the path. But the fact of the matter is, let's look at the primaries and let's just stop talking about these other groups. I mean, I spent 5 years arguing with Moors, Arabs, and I don't call them Muslims. I call them Moors, Arabs, Christians, and I wasted my time when we could have just talked about the text. And then we have a responsibility again of making sure that our sisters are experts in this, because it was a Set and Nebhed that resurrected that in the mythology, that man Asur, right, and birthed Horus, right, that became a king, and we forget that. And then I don't like. I have a problem with priests, so I deal with that when Kalam. So Asar is going to get me in touch with you. I am going to destroy the word spirituality. We are not spiritual people. We don't believe in spirits. That is a virus. that has helped to destroy our culture, because those people who use that word, it is a excuse for not knowing the primaries. So everything is spiritual. We're spiritual people. No, let's see what the Nile Valley Africans said. Yeah.
Reggie, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah, Reggie. I wanted to know a little bit more about Thoth in the text.
Who?
Thoth.
Jehudi.
Jehudi. Yeah. Could you just give me a little bit a story around him, if you don't mind?
Okay. Well, can you give me? I will. Can you give me why? Can you give me a reason why you want to know about Jehudi, and I will. That will help me. Why do you want to know about him?
Yeah, because they have some texts that used to float around in the 1st century. I think Socrates used to refer to some of his works as well. And some of those works go missing. I know some of them are corrupted, so I wanted to hear from you what some of the primary sources say about him.
Okay, I'm going to pull up a slide.
That's not too much work for you.
No, I'm just gonna pull up a slide. 1 second.
Okay, thanks, sir.
And you're gonna be you might be a little upset when you might be a little upset. So when the slide comes up, okay. So let's just share my screen. Can I share my screen? And share my screen and application and here. Okay. So here this is my presentation I'm gonna do, but here. So let's start here. This is the Nermor palette. You familiar with the Nermor palette?
I am, yes.
Okay, so this is the Nermor palette, and this is one of those sides. Let's say we don't know if it's the front or the back, but we get to this side right here. You see this side? You see this plate right here?
Yeah.
Okay, so there's two people. In the beginning there's the Nosut, and then there is a figure with a seven, kind of a 7-leaf flower, and then there is this other figure over there. So let's go here. There it goes. All right, so let's look at it. So the figure with the 7
Saber.
I think he's gone.
Saber, your presentation is strong, but your words ain't coming out.
Uh-oh. Family, we've only got 5 more minutes left live on air, you know. Where's the saber at? Brother Reggie.
I don't think he can hear you.
Oh,
his icon is still there. His sound dropped out.
He might have froze.
Right.
Hey, what are we saying?
I think Jehudi was not meant to be spoken about.
I think that's what I was thinking myself. That's what I was thinking myself. The God himself interrupted.
He said, no, it's not the time.
Yeah.
And family, if you want to say something to us, just simply type Titans TV and we will read it out before we do. So don't forget to simply type Titans TV if you want to be it, right?
Mm-hmm. Hey, Kalam, how comes you didn't come on Sunday?
Sunday spending with the family. Spending time with the family, man.
Oh, okay. All right, cool.
Yeah. But it looked like it was good. It was good, man. You saw us soon set down. It would have challenged though.
Huh?
I said it would have been nice to see him challenged.
Yeah. He says he said he just wanted to come and see the people and just embrace. But he said the next time he comes, because he's coming back again, that he would go full throttle.
Yeah, that would be good. That would be
Kalam, I wanted to ask you, I forgot to ask you, does a Kemet actually speak out against the practice of slavery? Because in ancient Kemet, whether it's Upper or Lower Egypt, people were used as slaves. And I've done some research. I can't see any gods speaking out against slavery within Kemet. Is that a practice that was accepted as the norm or not?
Okay. I can give you the fluffy answer, but I can also give you a real answer, right? So if you go inside of our, how can I put it? Our virtue, what's it called now? Declarations of virtues, basically. It speaks, and literature speaks very heavily about not, enslaving people. It does speak about not enslaving people, as I've heard in itself. But in the same breath, the practice of slavery did actually occur inside of various different dynasties in Kemet, and it was, I say, I don't want to try to sugarcoat nothing. Right? Slavery was to do with wars that took place, and they would have captured these people, and some of them were put into servitude within society. So there was certain forms of slavery that was present inside of the Kemetic Empire.
Is that more like on prisoners of war?
No,
Yeah, prisoners of war.
Slavery too, though. But when you go to, I think it's Ankh Shashank family. Ankh Shashank says, I think it's either Ankh Shashank or it's the other brother. I can't remember which one. He says, I tried to make sure no captive called me master, but father, because I nurtured them, etc., and treated them with great kindness. So he talks in particular about those who were enslaved to him, and he makes a reference concerning it might be in Merriam Lichtenstein's work in particular. I need to dig it up. But look up Ankh Shashank, and then look up is other Merriam Lichtenstein. I want to say who said it. Maybe not Ankh Shashank. And he tells you, like, for those that we had captive, we try to treat them like family. So they was well to do. You can look at the slavery records and see they were able to go into office. They were able to own land and real estate, et cetera, et cetera. So they live. They could basically become, real. They could go into the priesthood, et cetera, et cetera. Extremely wealthy and extremely strong, which you have with some of the Hikasa. And you see they rose up, stoked out, and we still same policy. So I don't know an ancient country, including Christians with the Crusades, Muslims, etc., who didn't have slavery at some point in time due to an enemy encroaching on them or vice versa. But we definitely didn't do it in the same fashion as like the Atlantic slave trade or anything like that.
But that's the thing I have. I can't actually find a religion where the spiritual side of it blatantly says don't do it. It seems it's kind of accepted one way or the other.
When there's an encroachment on you, right? So you don't want to kill everybody, but you have to put them in a reform process, right? Some people say jail is slavery, but even when you had the atheist country in Russia who was running things, what they do is making slaves. So it's not something that you can really get away from, especially in ancient times. You have to have a system of reform. Kemet had one of the best in the world.
All right, thanks.
All right, so salute to you, King. Yeah, buddy. So let us know, family. Do you lot have any last minute things to say before we do sign out? Let us know, family. Let us know. And if you're in the comment section, all you have to do is simply tag Titans TV, and we shall read out your comments, right? So listen up carefully. Simply tag Titans TV, and your message would be read out. And of course, if you definitely want your message read out, also drop us a super chat, and we are forced, compelled almost, to read out your super chats. So those are the options. Anybody would like to say something before we close out?
Silence in the house.
That's good. Going once.
Imhotep.
Yeah, buddy. Hey, yo, Saber Assad. I love that. You brought one of the other Sabers in, get involved. Hopefully, we can get him on. We need to arrange actual time to do a presentation, to get you to do a presentation as well. Let's quickly read out some of these comments. We got Dog Gnostic says, "Why you ran from Thai?" Nobody, I
Don't get into it.
I don't know if you lot know me. I don't run from anybody, right? It's impossible for me to run. Once you're standing upon truth, once you're standing upon Ma'at, right? Once you're standing on the Jed, yeah, that means stability. You can't be moved, baby. You can't be moved. And salute to my Uncle Ty, all right? Salute to my Uncle Ty as well. Ain't nobody gonna put me into any emotional opposition with my Uncle Ty. Uncle Ty is the man. I always humble myself before him. All right. Straight Dave says, Titans TV, the slave thing isn't this what the Muslims used to say? Yeah, exactly. So that's why I don't want to fall into that. Clearly, yes, there was slavery that transpired within side of ancient Egypt or ancient Kemet. And we should really go into that and do some shows onto it and kind of see what exactly it is and was, and is there any differences at all, and is it something that we should be looking upon as something that happened within side of an empire which was something shameful or should be viewed as something shameful today. So that's a good question and a topic for the future. I just typed Titans TV, but you didn't read it. Really? Okay. Titans TV. How widespread is Kemetism? Like, how many temples are there? How many adherents is this known? I don't know in terms of temples and adherents, but it's pretty much widespread. It's pretty much all over Europe. It's pretty much over Africa, pretty much over America, the Caribbean, South America as well. And I couldn't give you numbers or temples, to be honest with you, but there's quite a lot. And some go by other names, right? We're utilizing the word Kemeticism. If you said it to somebody, they'll be like, huh, I don't deal with Kemeticism. Someone might say, I deal with Hermeticism, or I deal with, whatever else, right? Because they don't know it as such. Okay, so that's why there is no such thing as Kemetics or anything like that. There really isn't nothing like that, but it's something that's like an easy catch-all phrase that everybody can get familiar with, right? Really and true, we're talking about African philosophy, and there's various different philosophies that are pervading throughout Africa and ancient Kemetland. Let's quickly go through. Buddha Bing is up in the building, drops us up with a super chat and tells us, oh, yeah, buddy. All right. Reggie says that his PC crashed. We apologize to you guys for not being able to get Reggie's PC back up and running, to have him drop some hot knowledge. Let's quickly go through Titans TV. Is Jorina a born-again Christian? I'm not too sure. She has self-identified as a Judeo-Christian or an Ethiopian Orthodox Christian. So yeah, Titans TV, how are you fixing Black people's problems today? We're fixing Black people's problems today by having conversations and dialogues that helps to attune their mind. And once you're able to attune somebody's mind, you can attune their actions. There you go. Thank you, Kalam and family, says Sal John. Let's quickly go through. Sugar. Did I miss anything? Did I miss anything?
Looking good. Looking good. You know, if you don't mind me stating, Brother Kalam, people always say stuff like, how are you fixing black people's problems? Or how are you fixing Europeans or Arabs' problems? How are you fixing them, right? If you're not some type of employer where you can give money, where that person who has an idea can fund their cause, you're not really a fixer. You're just a talker. So as we have these discussions, you know, psychological assistance for those who have particular plights. Simple as that. Don't ask a question that you can't answer yourself unless you're willing to sit down and talk about the solution.
Yeah, buddy. All right, family. I'm going to invite any of you guys on to say anything last minute. Last minute. And then let's go. All right. And if you want to get onto the show, right, let me just make sure I drop the link here. And of course, let me drop it in the description box as well, because I know a few of you guys always say, oh, the show's finished, but I wanted to jump on. And, you know, I had no means of jumping on. I'm going to drop the link inside of the description box. Can I get you guys to show some love and hit up the like button? It's funny. Why is every single one of my shows being demonetized? No matter what I speak about, there is always this demonetized button. Is it really that controversial? God damn. Every single one of my... I don't even try to like fight, you know. I just leave it like, okay. YouTube, man, you don't need to fix up.
I have Horace is watching.
I don't know.
So, yeah,
that's this eye is set watching, man. Set is on it.
Yes, set is on to me, man. Set is definitely on to me. So yeah, family, please hit up the like button, of course, but of course, jump on to the panel and we shall continue this conversation. If you want to debate, come and debate me, baby. That's what I need to do. I know I've got to be cocky to get you guys to I have to feed into you guys' egos for you to take up the challenge. So yeah, if you don't think you can debate me, whether it's Islam, Christianity, Judaism, Hebrewism, Kemet, whatever the case is, right? Come on, show me what you're made of, baby. Show me what you're made of. Because you already know we're kings out here. Let's see, anybody biting? Maybe next time I'll have to insult you. So anyways, family, peace and love. I'll catch you on the other side. We just had a massive show with Dr. Reggie passing through and showing us mad major love. Salute to Banksy as well for coming through. Salute to Jarena. And of course, salute to Saber Asa M. Carr. Yeah, buddy.
Peace
and love. Peace and love, family. Peace and love. Buddha. Bing.